Welcome back, 6:14 this morning. A couple weeks after layoff, ArcelorMittal workers resumed duties at the Point Lisas plant. The company sent home 498 employees from yesterday with no pay. The latest dismissals by the international steel producer saw 18 more people being sent home. That's more than the December 5th layoffs. The payroll department and the port employees also receiving letters. So according to the Steelworkers Union, the workers were given the letters on Tuesday stating that there will be no work for them until March 13th. So we're joined by Timothy Bailey, Chief Labor Relations Officer, and Ramkumar Narinesingh, the second Vice President. So welcome to both of you. Let's take this back to where it all began. The first letters came in late December.
Right.
And what happened after that?
Well, the 7th of December, the company would have undertaken to lay off the workers. There wasn't any consultation with the union, and the matter was taken before the industrial court. Directions were given, the hearing took place. Subsequent to the hearing, the matter was reserved for judgment. We have directions that clearly state that the court isn't expecting either party to take any new action until the completion of the matter. With that in mind, the workers, the company and the union would have met on the 11th. But prior to that, the company was adamant, told the Minister of Labour during the first layoff period that they would not meet the union until the 11th of January.
Right.
We met on the 11th. Coming out of that meeting, the President General of the Union, Mr. Christopher Henry, would have asked the company representatives at the meeting on numerous occasions what was the plan for the workers. The company response was clear that the workers would be returning to work on the 18th.
But they did. It's just that when they did, shortly after, they were sent home again.
But I want to emphasize on a point there. When Mr. Henry came downstairs and said to the workers on the 11th that they would be returning to the work, and the press reported that, the company sent out a press release saying that Mr. Henry had misled the press and the workforce. Luckily for us, we had the meeting audio. We had the audios from the meeting, and we played it for our members, and it was clear that the company had said on 3 occasions that workers would be returning on the 18th. The workers did return on the 18th. When they returned on the 18th, the union representatives went with the workers to the plant, and it was clear that the company had no intention of taking back the workers. Nothing was in place. Workers were standing up outside a cafeteria with no air condition for hours. After a while, when it was overbearing, we took the decision to go up to the administration building, where the decision makers of the companies are housed, and we went up there to inquire about what was the company's plan going forward for the workers. When we went there, they said that they were going to undertake a 7-day training with the workers, and during the time of the training, they would engage the union in discussions on how we would proceed going forward. The union said that a matter such as this, we needed to meet urgently. They said that they would have written us that week. That letter never came. On the 26th of January, the union, not the 26th, the 27th, the letter was dated the 26th. The union received a letter from the company saying that they wanted to meet on the 28th, a letter today for tomorrow. Now, this is our trade union with other RMUs. As the public knows, we are issues with Centrin, we are issues with Tube City, we have workers in National Flour Mills and from other companies. The union would have responded saying to the company that we were willing to meet, but the time that we were available on the 4th was on the 5th. The union, subsequent to that, there was an exchange of letters, and subsequent to that, the union would have had its executive meeting, where extensive discussions would have been had on Monday in terms of how we would, the line of discussion we'd have with the company on the 5th. A decision was made by the executive at that point in time to engage the Minister of Labour in the discussions that we were going to have with the company. Because has
she been involved in this? Has the Minister of Labour gotten in at all?
To be quite honest, I think she has attempted to be involved. As I said to you before, when she had engaged both parties in the previous layoff period, the company would have said in no uncertain terms to her that they didn't want to meet the union until the 11th.
Right.
So we made a decision on the Monday that we would meet with the company under the direction of the minister, with the minister directing the discussions, because of the history of the company, because of the fact that the company in the past would have come up, we'd have had these discussions in our meeting, and in the meeting make decisions collectively, and when they come out of the meeting, they will have changed the position. So we wanted somebody neutral in the meeting so that whatever came out of the meeting, somebody from a neutral perspective would have said, this is what came out of the meeting.
Let's get Mr. Narinesingh in this. Do you wish that they would just either come out and tell the workers they're all going home, come up with a good severance package, or do you prefer that rather than this run around that we're getting?
The union, we are in the business of preserving employment.
Right.
The union is all about job preservation. So we are not hoping for that. But if you look when you look at how the treatment is being meted out to the workers, the malicious and vindictive way the company is approaching this whole issue, the thing about it is that the company needs to come to the table with clean hands. They need to come and say, well, clearly, what is their position? And they're not coming out and saying, listen, we are closing down. There's no absolution of anything. They are simply they're stringing along their employees. And when in analyzing all the facts that my comrade just stated, it is clear that this company, there's no intention of any type of goodwill to their most important resource, their human resource. There's no intention of goodwill. Do
they need us? Do we really provide that much of a service to them that they need to stay open?
Yes. In terms of and there's the issue that we have been trying to stress on. This company has benefited to the extent that Mr. Mittal would have become a billionaire. This was one of his earliest acquisition. I think his second foreign acquisition, and this company has built his empire because of the cheap natural gas, cheap electricity, cheap water, because of the layout of the plant facility in terms of the proximity to the port, to the plants, because when you go to other plants all around the world, millions of dollars are spent annually just trucking material to points of dispatch or in points where you're receiving material. Right. We have a port facility that is second to none. And the most important thing that must be stressed is at this point in time, the natural gas and electricity contractual arrangements that the company would have had with the government for nearly 25 years has expired. And
do you think that's the catalyst?
We are saying basically that based on the action taken by this company, when you look internationally also, there's no doubt that the market is depressed. But right in Spain, same ArcelorMittal plant has laid off its workforce, and they are on full salaries until December of this year. We have technology. If you go on Reuters, you pull up that, you're going to read about that. This same company, and we are talking about this company paying euros.
Did they give a reason why? Why they're still able to pay those salaries, and here we have to be laid off without salaries?
Well, I want to address that point. I think that the people at the helm of this company in Trinidad and Tobago are people who don't have good intentions. There's a few people, one or two, CEO, chief legal officer. These individuals have undertaken to go on down a road to try and union bus, to try and turn the workforce against this union. We are saying that they are not trying to kill two birds but three. They are embracing the fact that the market is depressed. There would be a period in which things would be slow, and in this period they are trying to secure natural gas, electricity contracts with the government, and at the same time eliminate the entity that ensures that they follow the collective agreement, which is the union.
And looking forward, what are some of the workers saying? Has anyone fully said, you know what, forget this, I am going to work elsewhere, just give me a good package?
We have had workers saying that. But you see, I just want to make this one point in what workers are looking at. 498 workers have been sent home without salaries.
Right.
But the company continues to employ 120 management workers, full pay, with salaries up in US, being paid in US,
right.
50,000, 90,000, etc., etc.
But if they're management, who are they managing?
That is the thing.
If they're getting rid of so many workers,
workers are looking at that, and we are looking at what the company, how they are approaching this thing.
Right.
So there's no logic in how they are addressing this. There's no logic in they're arguing market conditions and problems with cash flow, etc.
If March rolls around and there's another extension, so you come back to work on March 20. What day was it? March 13th. Sorry, I think 23rd. You come back on March 13th. By March 15th, they say, okay, we're laying you off again until April. What happens then? What sort of recourse do you have?
I specialize in industrial relations, and if that is to happen, the company will set a new precedent. There is case law, and workers, the extent at which you can lay off somebody is 3 months.
Right.
So this would be our precedent. Anything after the 13th would have to be retrenchment notice, or it would have to be that the company is resorting to start back up its operations.
Okay. So that by March 13th, something has to happen.
Something, make or break.
And any fears of break more than make come March 13th?
Well, I want to be optimistic, and as I have said before, and my comrade has emphasized it, this union, the Steel Workers Union of Trinidad and Tobago, is about job preservation. We were not given the opportunity to consult with the company, pitch specific ideas that we think may have been embraced, but and we believe that going forward, these ideas could still be embraced. If you look in terms of the facility, you look at the plants, and you ask the question if orders are to come in next week, are these plants ready to embrace these orders? The answer will be a resounding no. These plants have not been repaired. There are a lot of maintenance work to be done, and we would have thought, just like the plants that have been laid off, where workers have been laid off around the world, that the company would undertake to bring the plant to a point where, if orders come our way, we could efficiently produce so that the company could incur a large profit margin.
Are all the workers local? Are there any expat workers on those lower levels, not management, but
No.
But so they're all
the workers that were laid off are bargaining unit workers, workers who are affiliated to the Steel Workers Union of Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
And as my colleague said again, management people were kept in December.
Right.
They are being kept again. People are continue to drink champagne, eat steak, enjoy caviar, with all the perks and benefits.
That's kind of the way it works, unfortunately, in more often.
Well,
not,
that happens at this side of the world. If you do the research, you look at Liberia, you do the research around the world. Some of these first world countries are not taking that.
Right.
The government's intervening ASAP and telling. There's a video, and I want the national public to take a look at it, where companies in Russia were undertaken to close down.
Russia's a whole different kettle of fish.
And Mr. Putin got in there and said, "Hey, what's going on? Thousands of lives are affecting."
Yeah, I've seen that.
When you were making your profits, these workers were the catalysts behind you making your profits. As soon as they going through a slow period, you want to put these workers on the breadline. I am saying, and the union is saying, along with the support of the Joint Trade Union movement, that legislation must be put in place to stop multinational companies and national companies from, when a situation has arisen where things slow down, that the first individuals they look to take action against and put on the breadline are the individuals that build the dynasty. We saying that something must be put in place for layoffs, to prevent layoffs.
Is there precedent for that?
Yes, around the world, there is legislation to deal with that. And we need to adopt it. We're saying that we want to be a first world country. We need to operate like a first world country. Bring legislation that is in line with first world status.
All right. There are some other issues that you all were talking about. There are a few more workers who are having some problems. It's the other steel.
Centrin. Jeep City.
Give us an update on that.
Well, we had a meeting yesterday with the Centrin manager and his chief financial officer. Centrin is not, the union's position was that Centrin should withdraw the retrenchment notices. Centrin isn't, they told us that they are not going to do that at this point in time. Also, they spoke about they have issues apparently in accessing US dollars to purchase raw materials on the outside to keep their plants running. The company has indicated that they are going to engage the government in that issue. And the union has indicated that we will assist in whatever way that we can in that tripartite talks. So that is ongoing. They have committed to continue to meet with us, right?
All right, well, that's positive news.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Is
the entire industry in trouble right now, the same way the oil and gas industry is?
Well, this morning we were looking at, me and my comrade was talking about the price of oil going back up.
Right.
And that's the point. The point is that scenarios like these are not ones of a permanent nature. These are scenarios of a temporary nature. And management and shareholders and the people who benefit the most must take this into consideration and must adopt the approach that is recommended by the International Labour Standard Organization, that workers are assets and not commodities. If ArcelorMittal was adopting that approach, we would not be on this set this morning.
All right, great. Let's hope that they listen to you. So, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Narinesingh, thanks very much for coming, and just keep us updated on what's happening with this situation and the workers. And we wish them all the best in these hard times. You don't want to hear of anybody losing their jobs, but fortunately, that's how it goes sometimes. All right, going to take a quick break and be right back. This is Morning Edition.